Hi, we're going to talk about angle pair relations, vertical angles, linear pairs, complementary and supplementary angles. We're on page 9 of the packet. So let's start with the linear pair. The key word inside the word linear is line. Okay, so a pair of angles that you find in a line. We will start with that as an informal definition, but the formal definition is you have and I'm going to squeeze this in here, but a pair of adjacent, so angles that are right next to each other, adjacent angles with non-common sides that are opposite rays. So in our diagram over on the right hand side, it's a pair of angles that we're referring to. So angle 1 and angle 2 are, and angle 2 are an example of a linear pair. Can I have you go ahead and hit pause and then name 3 other sets of linear pair angles? Okay, with the linear pair theorem, if we think back to the previous video, I had talked about the sum of 2 angles that form a straight angle being half of a revolution of a circle, so therefore it is 180 degrees. Vertical angles definition is vertical angles are the angles across or opposite each other when 2 lines cross. So angles opposite each other when 2 lines cross. So in the above diagram, angle 1 and 2 were a linear pair, but angle 1 and angle 3 are examples of vertical angles. Can I have you hit pause and name the other set of vertical angles? Vertical angles theorem is the angles that are opposite each other are congruent to each other. If 2 angles are vertical angles, then they are congruent. We use this as a justification many times, so I'm okay with you guys abbreviating for this class, this theorem, as VAT, V-A-T, vertical angles theorem. So if you want to say those, well, I know angle 1 and 3 are congruent because they're vertical angles, you can just say because of that. Okay, so in the diagram shown, angle 1 has a measure of 60 degrees. Find angle 2, 3, and 4, as well as list the vertical pairs. So we'll start with listing the vertical pairs, and I'm going to have you fill out example 1. So the vertical pairs should be the ones opposite each other, so angle 1 and angle 3, angle 2, and angle 4. The linear pairs would be the angles adjacent to each other with the non-common side being opposite rays. So angle 1 and angle 2, angle 3 and angle 4, and angle 2 and 3, and 1 and 4. Go ahead and hit pause and enter in your answers for 2, 3, and 4. You should have gotten 120 degrees, 60 degrees, and 120 degrees here. Solving for angle X in example 2 is a combination of a geometry problem with vertical angles and an algebra problem. So when you're looking at that problem, you should realize that you're going to set 105 equal to 2x minus 11, and then solve the rest of the way, add 11 over and divide by 2. Please provide me an answer. And hopefully for your notes, I want to make sure it's correct. You got x equals 58 degrees. So for example 3, let's go ahead and do this one together. So if this angle was across from this angle, I would make the conclusion that those angles are congruent. And you can see they're both obtuse angles. However, the 2 angles that they give me information on this angle and in a different color this angle form a linear pair. So my conclusion is that they're not equal to each other. They couldn't possibly be if you look at one's obtuse and one's acute. I know that these two added together is equal to 180 degrees. So that's going to be my equation. I'm going to do 5x, 3x plus 2x is 5x, plus 5 equals 180. I subtract 5 on both sides. 5x equals 175. Divide both sides by 5. X is 35. And it did say solve for x, so x equals 35 is my solution. So moving on, we're going to talk about complementary and supplementary angles next.